Hi, good morning. Welcome back to Mike Makes It. We're in the garage again. This is an add-on to an already completed project that I've got on YouTube at the moment for deployable Defender steps for my truck. What I need is an external reservoir air tank. So what I'm going to do, in the box, you may have guessed, we got one of these 2 kilogram fire extinguisher. Just take it out the wrapper. Bear with me. There we go. Got that off eBay, £22 delivered. I thought that was quite good. Not a massive tank, but it's certainly going to be big enough for what I want. I only want a small reservoir, just so the compressors not keep running on the steps when I open and close them. So the plan is, I've got a couple of bars. I need to cut these to size, but that'll be mounted on the bars. Couple of big U-brackets, exhaust brackets, call them what you wish. They'll be mounted over the tank like that, and they'll be bolted down. So all in all, that should be quite a quick project. We're going to be putting that into a storage box in the truck itself, so it will actually be hidden, so it won't be too bad. Not sure what we're going to do with this at the end here. Somehow I've got to get the compressed air out, and I'm not sure the thread size of this. I've asked the manufacturers, they won't talk to me, possibly for obvious reasons, but I think I'm going to end up tapping the hole in here permanently, having the trigger on, so that should all be good. So yeah, get on the bench, we'll do a bit of cutting of the metal. Got some little end bungs to put in to tidy it up, although you'll never see it again. That's what we'll do then. We'll measure up the tubes, cut them, drill them, fit the brackets, go to the truck and see where it's going to be mounted. This is a tube I'm going to use to mount the extinguisher on. 25mm square box section tube, just some scrap ad lying around. A couple of marks on there. I'm going to cut it on the old Evolution here. I say old, I've only just had it. There's a video on YouTube at the minute with regards opening it up, what I'm thinking about it, etc, etc. You might want to take a look at that. I'll put a link in the video. But yeah, here we go. Bop, 2 cuts. One very good thing with the Evolution over an abrasive saw, gives you a very clean cut. Yes, I'm going to go round here with a deburring tool, but all in all, I can't grumble at that at all. Time will tell on how many cuts I get out of each blade. That was another issue I had on a previous video on the old 210, Evolution 210 Rage 3S. There's also an armature fix for that, but that's another story. But yeah, okay, I'm going to deburr that. I've got to bop a couple of holes in for the exhaust brackets. You'll see that in a minute. We'll go over to the drill press. Okay, we're over the drill press. What I want to do, the ultimate aim, is to have that bolted through here to clamp the fire extinguisher. So the plan is drill 2 8mm holes in the top, but 2 20mm holes in the bottom. And the idea of that, I got access to a socket then, or access to the nut that's in the box section, so I can tighten it up with a socket. And the bottom of this is not going to have a nut sticking out of it. It's going to be flush, so it's not going to do any damage to the box that's in the truck that we'll see later. So yeah, a few holes going in. Watch, here we go. number 1. I have got a little indent on there. I've centre punched the hole, or centre punched the mark where I want the hole to go, so the drill's not going to slide around. That's the holes in the right place, I'm hoping. And we're going to go in the top to 8mm, in the bottom 20. So just drop that down a tad. I know I rave on about these step drills, but they're really good. You haven't got to keep changing your drill bits. So there's your 8mm. I'll slide the work across to the one on the other end. If I've measured that up right, this bracket should fit in, so that's what we're aiming for. We'll go ahead and do the well, I'll tell you what, we'll turn this over and you can see one done, then I'll crack on doing the other one while you're putting the kettle on. Right, there we go. I'll put that one there. Right, 20mm depth on this one. Incidentally, I have checked, I'm not going to go all the way through, make the hole on the other side bigger than I want. With this step drill, not only would it well, this actually wouldn't have gone to 20, but I've got another one that would have gone to 20, but also made the hole on the other side bigger than I want. But this has got sufficient or minimal depth that the hole on the other side is not going to get drilled out, so that's what I'm looking for. One more to go. That's 18. 20. So the socket will fit through and get on the nut on the other side when it's all put together. Now you might have seen me when I went through 20, I just blipped it on the next cut up, which is 22mm, and that deburrs the top or slightly countersinks it very nicely. So that's another reason I like these drills. Right, do this last one. Oop. One more. And just a little bit more for the deburring. Job's a good one. Now I need to clean the holes up, but we'll just push this through. And you can see I can get the nuts on here and get a socket in over them to tighten it up. I will need to trim off some of the thread here, but that's not a problem. Well, you go make a cup of tea, I'll go and get on with the other one, and you can join me back at the bench in a couple of minutes. This is one I've assembled. You can see what I was getting at, I hope, with the bolts going through. I can put the socket through that hole, like so, to tighten the nut up. Now I won't have to cut any of the thread off because there's not enough of it to warrant cutting it off. When you fit it around the extinguisher, the bolts don't stick out. It's like that, pretty much. What I have done on one of the brackets here, to minimise any damage to the fire extinguisher itself, just put a bit of heat shrink around it. So yeah, kind of have that going on. So what I'll do, I'll carry on putting it together, and we'll go to the truck and you can see why these look longer than they need to be. So to the truck. Well, there you go, it's on this bracket sitting in the truck. There's the back of the truck. Obviously I'm not going to leave it where it is. The plan is it's going to go into this aluminium box. This has been on an earlier video. You know, I Alcan foiled the back of my truck out. It's 3mm checker plate. Works very well. Got it under the rubber matting as well. Does protect it if I start loading up with bags of gravel and other bits and pieces. Oh, don't get dents in the side of my truck. Yeah, let me open the box up. You can see it's full of all necessary junk. So I'm going to clear that out. And I can place the extinguisher into the position it's going to rest and make a few holes for the pipe. So we'll do that now. Okay, we've got a bit of a plan going on. Under here, this is the passenger seat. The compressor is going to sit there. You've seen on the earlier videos, going to sit along here. Well, under here and at the back there's a gap, which is here. I'm going to put a small hole, well, it's not going to be that small a hole, probably about a 14mm hole there, where I'm going to have a pipe coming out. Let me show you the pipe. This is 10mm pipe. That's going to feed the reservoir. That's a simple push fit into these. So the plan is just a hole for the pipe. That'll go there, popping out. I'm going to run a pipe across this bulkhead section. There's nothing goes here normally, but it's going to go to the back wall. I'll got some P-clips, run it along here and bop a hole in about there. Now I've got some bulkhead connectors, if you want to call it that, for the pipe. Now I can fit one of those in there, but the only thing with that, I want to bring the pipe this way. So it's going to stick out a little bit more than I'd like. So I've still got to drill a fair size hole if I'm going to fill the bulkhead connector. I think that's about 18mm hole. But the diameter of this is a little bit less. So worst come to worst, I'll drill it out to the full size for the bulkhead connector. But what the plan is, this section here will actually recess into the metal. So the pipe will come out of here and be largely flush with the back of the bulkhead, so everything's going to be tucked away quite well, with the only exception there is going to be a pipe running across here, but that's not going to be too bad a thing, I think, because it's out of the way. And where the hole's going to go here for the pipe, that'll effectively feed through the bulkhead, and I can drill a hole in the back of the box here, and that's where the pipe's going to enter. So that's kind of the best run I can come up with. I could put the reservoir tank externally, but I'd prefer it sort of a little bit more waterproof in the box there. So I'm going to bop a few holes in and see how we go, see if I've worked it out right. Okay, here we go. Let's just check out the size. I think I've got to go a little bit more. No, that'll do. I want to try to fit a grommet in there. Trouble is, these are quite thin panel thickness, is about 1.5mm. Now we've got 2 or 3 sections of aluminium going on here, so realistically I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But I think if we can just fish out the connector behind the camera there, it should still sit quite nicely. That's the plan anyhow. So let's go stick a couple more holes in the truck. Number 2. Very nearly. I'll be tempted to take that out with a deburring tool, to be fair. I don't want to make that another 2mm bigger. Now I've got to go through, there's a multi-section here. I put this panel on myself just to pretty it up a little bit. Behind here there's the original white bulkhead, and that goes through to another section in the back, so it's going to be quite a deep hole, so to speak. But yeah, I'll go around the back and I'll move the storage box. I was hoping I was going to get away without having to move this out the way, but there's only 3 bolts holding it in. I can slide it back and be able to get access to the back of this panel. See if you can move a few bits out the way. You can just about see there's a bit of wood there as well. All that wood is spacing out another piece of this aluminium that I put in the rear cab there. So yeah, they didn't make the Land Rovers out of wood, thankfully. So yeah, I think the next thing is move the storage box and come in from the other way to open that hole up. Right, I'm inside the storage box, not literally, but that's where the hole's got to go, so give or take a bit. We'll have a little go. Excuse the noise. There we go, that's 10mm hole. May have to just clean that up a little bit. But you see what I mean about these, I'll get back in frame, hang on, bear with me. Right, these step drills, see what I'm on about? I have now got to change the drill size 3 or 4 times to get to the desired finished size. Starts with, on this one, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so it did slip about. I should have centre punched it, but nevertheless, bang, we're done. I'd still be changing drills if it wasn't for them. So I do rave on about them, they're great. But the thing here, I won't have to move the box. Mike used his head and I just, on the other side, just drilled 10mm hole straight through. 10mm hole there. All I got to do is wiggle the pipe through and we're done. Job's a good one. I'll take the camera up. If you excuse, it's going to be wiggling a little bit. Don't know if you can see down there. Try to get the light. I don't think it's going to focus very well. We're too far down. But trust me, down the bottom of there, we have the pipe. See if is it going to focus? No, it's not. But right down the bottom there, there is the pipe I need to pull through into the box. So I'll do that now. Right, there you go. There's a feed pipe to the compressor in the battery bay. If you look on the top here, pipe coming out is a little bit not quite so neat as I'd like it, or hidden as well as I'd like it. Nevertheless, it's going to be functional. It's out the way. It's not going to get damaged. It's behind the seat. You won't actually see it when the seat's back, which it normally always is. Pipe feeds through the bulkhead. We nip round to the other side quickly. Now we're in the storage box here. That's where the CO2 cylinder is going to live, and there's a pipe to it. I've gone for a 10mm pipe, so there's no restriction when the compressor's running, so I want this to fill up quickly. The rest of the system 6mm pipe, so I felt the 10mm would give that slightly less restriction. So right, well that's all plumbed in. I'll put the seat back in, make my truck drivable again. But the next task is to tackle the handle here. Now I'm taking the handle off, and I want to be able to continuously feed air in or draw air out. I don't want that mechanism going on. So we'll take that to the bench and see what we can do with that. Right, okay. The fire extinguisher is still full. So really the first thing I better do is get the CO2 out of it. I believe it's under about 8.5 bar pressure, so I certainly don't want to be drilling holes in this thing go off. The plan was, if we zoom in a little bit, was to fit one of these. It's a 10mm push fit connector for a pipe that would feed the compressor. The only thing is, a hole in here is too big to be tapped out for this to go in. I can almost get it in now. I can't weld that in because I'm going to melt all the plastic in there, so I'm kind of stuck. The pipe that came with the fire extinguisher screws in. I've got this thread, I've got the nut. Yeah, that might be an option, but remember this will be under about 120 pound of pressure all the time, and what I don't want is to have any air leaks, otherwise the compressor is going to be going all the time. You've got one single O-ring on that, and I haven't got any confidence in that actually keeping the air in. I might be able to come up with something, some adapter of some sort, turn it down on the lathe, put a couple of O-rings in, and still use this nut. I think that could be a possibility, thinking about it. So it might be a route I'm going to go down. We'll have a little think. But main thing, let's get the gas out of here. It's a shame to waste the CO2, because I could use it for my welder. You can get adapters to go on here, and it'll tie up to your MIG welder. But I'm not going to do that today. This was £20 off eBay, which is remarkably cheap, seeing a CO2 gas cylinder, one of the throwaway ones, is about £13, and I reckon you're going to get many more hours of use out of this. So that might be another little project, well, hardly a project. You can buy the adapter to go onto the regulator for the MIG welder. So it might be something I can look at if I can still get these for around £20. So right, I'll set up and we'll let the gas out and see what happens. I've led a sheltered life. I've never let one of these off before, so not quite sure what to expect, but I would imagine it's all nice and safe, because people use these regularly to put fires out. So yeah, we'll set up and see what happens. Right, we've looked high and low for everything we need, and the best I can come up with is I'm going to block this hole off, which I would like to use, to be honest, because it's got a slightly bigger bore down in the middle there. But the plan is now, I'll get a piece of aluminium. I haven't got brass, otherwise I'd use it. I'll get a piece of aluminium, turn it down to a thou over this size of the hole on the lathe, press it in there with me press. Then to cap it all off, literally cap it off, I'm going to whack that nut on to hold the slug of metal in, so nothing's going to be leaking out of there gas wise. And round here there's another hole. This is what I believe they use to check the pressures of the CO2 canisters, or extinguishers I should say. That's the only thing I can think is for, unless they fill them up in the factory with that. Regardless, this actuates, or air will escape from there when you press the lever. When you do that, this opens up, as would this one, but that's going to be blocked off. This one is the one we're interested in. So what I've done there, I've drilled the bore out to 6mm, which is pretty much the same size as the main one I was going to use. So I've drilled that out to 6mm. The thread is actually, well, put it this way, I can get a 1/8 BSP to fit really snugly in there. This is a taper thread, tapered this one is, and that'll go in really well. Now I've got some straight threaded ones, and they go all the way in, so that what makes me think for some reason this is a BSP thread, which is okay for me, because what I'll do, we'll fit this in here. The only thing I haven't got, so it's over to eBay, is, let me just zoom out. I still want to have a 10mm pipe coming out. Now this is 1/4 inch BSP, this is an 1/8. Now I've got an adapter that'll go in here, but this is female, as is that, so probably what I can do, get it all in one go, get a 10mm push fit to 1/8 BSP. If not, I'll get a 1/4 inch to 1/8 converter. So effectively that'll sit on the extinguisher like that. So that kind of should work okay. What I do need to do, I did look at it, obviously the air won't come out unless this valve is depressed like that. Now I did take all this off and had a little look at the pip on the top. You've got to press down and you need quite a lot of force. So for simplicity, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick with the handle. May even cut the handle off perhaps and put a bolt in here, but that's got to be down all the time, of course. So I'm going to end up with this blanked off. This is going to be the discharge or the feed to the steps. Also this is going to be the fill from the compressor. So basically that's how air is going to get into here, and this is going to act as a reservoir. So yeah, to eBay, I'm afraid. Not going to finish it today. Get this little adapter I need, but yeah, we're making progress. One thing you might like to see, I'm just going to turn this down on the lathe. It's only aluminium I got, like I said, but I should be able to turn something down to poke in this hole. I'll put some sealant around, press it in with me 12-ton press, cap it, and we're not going to get any air coming out of that. So to the lathe, Mike, to the lathe. Right, here we are over at the press. I've used some Loctite 290. I found that good on the sump screws on my Land Rover to keep the oil in, so hopefully it may just help if we do have a little bit of a misfitting with the aluminium slug. As you can see, we've got the slug in here ready to go down. Hopefully, with any luck, excuse the head in the way, this will press in. I did it a few thou over, and aluminium soft, so I'm hoping it's going to go in squarely, and it looks if it is, without doing too much damage to anything else, thankfully. Right, that feels if it's bottomed out. A little bit proud, but that doesn't matter. That is simply going to have the nut on the top there and a washer to hold that in. In fact, if I go off shot a second, there you go, back again. That's the nut I was talking about. do that up. There's no way that plug's going to come out, and that's the in and out for the air. So yeah, let's get the kettle on. That's done for today. Get on eBay, order that adapter I need for this, but then that's about the last step before we can fit it to the truck, so should be good.